If you're hearing this, thank you for pressing play on a bonus edition of It's a Streamable Life podcast with Brandon and Lorin. It's just Lorin today as I'm bringing you an exclusive from the ATX TV Festival. I attended the 4-day TV camp for grown-ups May 28th through 31st in Austin, Texas. This year, I talked with the cast of House of the Dragon, Steven Toussaint, Abukabar Salim, Harry Collett, and Bethany Antonia in preparation for Season 3 in a roundtable interview. Hear these discussions now. I'm Lorin Williams with Mixdown.com. Lorin.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Lorin.
Nice to meet you both. Steve, nice to meet you. My first question is, frankly, a lot of this franchise deals with sins of, absentee father, the impact on offsprings and people in those relationships.
See that?
But with you two, it's kind of different as you're being reunited after estrangement. So how does that change the relationship for you? Do you think that's a twist on that sort of narrative trope, and how your characters deal with that from the ones that may have to deal with the disappearance of a father and the ramifications after that?
Want to start? I think for Corlys, it's a bit of a shift, because as far as he's concerned, this situation and Adam were the casualties of being a sailor.
Mm-hmm.
I had a thing with their mother. Clearly, it's something very important, or reasonably important, because he kept going back. But that was never going to be the real thing, because the real thing was my real love for my wife. And of course, circumstances mean, of course, that he loses everybody. And then the thought of one of the things that I think has been constant about Corlys has been this idea about legacy, that I have to leave something here and I have to secure my family. Now, of course, through the first 2 seasons, he loses just about everybody, but he still has 2 sons. And what I like about this dynamic is the fact that Corlys thinks he can just come along and go, all right, I remember you, you're my son, so let's get on with it. And of course, Adam, and I'm not speaking for Bradley, but Adam being a man who's made himself, and has clearly got this, no worries. Your father. Exactly. Has got this resentment, which is quite understandable. In fact, one thing I remember is being bearing the brunt of the speech that you gave in 2, when you're like, this is what I had to put up with you when you were there with your son. And I think it's a very humbling thing for Corlys. And I think for me, despite the fact that Corlys was an absentee father in the case of these 2, what I like about him is that he's prepared to take that. He doesn't just dismiss it. Because up until Alyn, the only person that Corlys is completely honest with, was his wife. She was his rock, and now she's no longer there. And he could just sort of go, I want to be my heir. And he says, no, you can go, fuck off, man. He does that. So I like that. But that's my thing. That's Corlys evolved, I think. But,
Repeat the question, yes.
Okay, so you two are reuniting after estrangement, which is sort of a flip on the absentee father trope in the series. How do you think your character is going to deal with that?
I think, again, just kind of riffing off what Steve was saying, it's an ever-evolving thing. It's something that you can never run away from, family. And I think, like, as much as you try and push them away or try and kind of cut them off, you are always bound to this element, this thing. And I think with Alyn as well, the fact that he is, so closely working and, with Corlys and, having that be it by his choice or not by his choice, I think it's one of those ones which it's just an ever-evolving thing. And I think as well, Alyn's want or need is essentially to protect himself, protect his Adam, his brother, from any sort of external force that he feels is threatening. And I think Corlys is one of those threatening elements, because I think Corlys is one of the only characters who can make Alyn feel vulnerable, because that's his dad, right? And there is an element of disappointment that he has felt with his dad several times beforehand. And now it's like, do I open myself up and let myself go? No, I'm not going to. But again, like, I think what's very exciting now about what this season's about to bring is it puts that to the test. And it really shows, like, where is your limit? You know, what is the limit of your pride, of your ego, where, you know, it's going to be tested because of the brutality of everything that's happening. So yeah.
Thank you.
I'm Ariana again. We know that season 4 is the last season. For actors and even for your characters, how does it feel to go into season 4 knowing it's the last season? Is there also kind of a feeling of peace knowing that there is going to be a conclusion with the story, especially with how the industry is these days? It could be, the rug could just be pulled at any moment, and there is no ending. Like, each day could be the end.
I've got to say, like, the one thing that I do love this show and about being part of it is the reason why there is going to be like a big final season, because people love it. People love the stories. They love, you know, everything going on. And then, like, there's a massive then, and that's like kudos to like the fans and everyone to that. But as an actor, it feels really good. Like, having come from Raised by Wolves, where that was kind of the rug pull, kind of happened to you, and you knew that there was an element of a story going there that didn't finish. It feels like half reading a book and not being able to know what the ending is. So then now to actually have that element there, that conclusion there, it's so wonderful. It's like reading Hamlet and knowing, like, you know, going through the full end of it and knowing where it's going. I think there's a real greatness about a journey, seeing a journey from beginning to end, which I love about TV, and, you know, because you don't get that in film. Films don't stop halfway. You know? So I think, there is a piece. Of course, there's an element of like, I would do this, forever if we could, you know, because it's always about play. But having that, you know, you can never really appreciate something till there is an end. And I think that's what's really cool about this. Yeah. That's my answer from my experience of having a problem.
I think I would second that. I think there is something nice and neat about knowing that you have a self-contained story. This is it, and then that's the end of it. So that's a joy. And I mean, and as much as you can map your character to an extent. I mean, it's not entirely true because I didn't read the book, But yeah, I like the idea that it's contained. I remember there was an interview with Jason Bateman. Did you see Ozark?
Yeah.
So I saw that show, Ozark. Brilliant show.
It's a great show.
When they made the first season, they had no expectations about doing another one. They just wanted to make one good season, and that's that. And of course, it was fantastic, and people said, no, we have to have more. And they made another good season. But I like that idea of, this is it. House of the Dragon is 4 seasons. This is what we do. And it will have a beginning, middle, and end. And there will be a point when you'll go, oh, right, that story's done. So I think that's quite neat.
And it's a testament to showrunners, like truly, and like the team behind that, to be able to know when is enough. And like, when are we kind of like clocking it? Because I think, of course, there is the want or the sort of the urge, you know, the pull to keep going. Right? Because if it works, it works. Just keep going. But I think, you know, all good stories come to an end. And I think like that's really, truly what's really powerful about this. It's like, you know what you signed up for, you know what you're going for, and that's how it's going to end. That's how it's going to end. So play with that. You know, enjoy that invitation in a way. You know?
Ryan Condal said that the Battle of Collett episode was the craziest episode of TV he's ever made, period. What was y'all's experience getting to film such an intense scene in general like that?
It was the craziest thing I've ever seen on television. I would second that. His description is apt. I think from the minute that, certainly in my case, the minute that Lonnie called me weeks before they built anything, and said, come in, I want to talk you through what the battle's going to be, what Corlys' journey through this battle will be, both physically and mentally and emotionally. I was like, oh my God, this is quite something. And he said, yeah, we've not seen this scale on TV before. And then, of course, you spend weeks rehearsing fight scenes in a huge gym with wonderful stunt performers. And then you get onto the set, and it's much smaller. And all of those wonderful balletic moves you were going to do that were going to make you look sexy, which you thought were going to do, they end up being this. Stop it. In my case, anyway. But yeah, it was amazing to get on that set, to have all this water and blood swashing around, to have the whole thing tilting, have them water cannons firing at you. I mean, no action required, because there were points when when you, at least for me, when I imagine sea battles and fighting, it's all very smooth and very clean.
Yeah, but it's not.
But it's not. And there comes a point in a battle when your character just wants to survive. Just survive so you can have a few seconds to breathe and find out what else is going on. And we did, I haven't seen it yet, but I think we did our very best to replicate that feeling.
Yeah, it was madness. Like, it was, the way I've described it before is it was organized chaos. Like, you think you have a plan, and then suddenly you're on there, and the plan is gone. Like, you can only trust that the team around you are all sort of in the same boat and trying to survive and trying to figure it out. And like, I always remember, again, that same feeling of like, you've done all the rehearsals in this big gym, then you get on the boat, the first time that Bonnie shouted action, and the first time that you see all the stuntmen just clash with one another, it was like a mosh pit. It was like electric. But again, like, the beauty of that kind of mosh pit feeling was it felt safe.
Yes.
It felt like, never did I ever feel like I was going to, get hurt or be in danger. It just felt it felt amazing.
Testimony to the stunt guys. Let's do this. On my film, I shot this film after we'd done this, and we had a stunt guy.
Right.
And he kept looking at me funny. And then he said to me, do you recognize me? And I said, no. And he said, you cut my balls off in House of the Dragon. And I was like, did I? And I was like, hang on, what were my moves? Well, you want to go at the end of this?
Yeah, it was. That's actually the other thing, right? This was one of those sequences as well where I think every stunt man and woman knew about this and wanted to be a part of this.
Yeah.
So you had people who had done the Marvel stunts, James Bond, everyone literally in this sequence. So it was just mad. So yeah.
Joy.
Okay, this one's for Steve. I don't know how much you can tell or if you're connected. I know after Thrones, House of Dragon, there were a bunch of spin-offs, developments within the franchise announced. Do you know anything about the alleged animated season 8 series?
No, to be honest, I don't. The last thing I saw George, I was in Berlin earlier this year, and I saw George there. And there were discussions. Those discussions did not involve me.
Got it.
So I have no idea.
Okay. Fair. Just had to ask. Yeah.
That one came for both of you, what I noticed about House of Dragons, to me, it's even more diverse than Game of Thrones. And maybe this is very much a begrudged American look on things. How is it like to be able to be on a show that your guys are talking about legacy, about fatherhood, and it's not Black trauma, and it's not about enslavement, even though there is royalty talked about? Like, what for you as actors, what is that like?
It's free. Like, the thing is, like, as kids, then you don't even, it doesn't even come into mind. Like, I've got a 3-year-old daughter, right? And, whenever she, like, plays make-believe, she believes that she could be any princess, anything that she wants to be, right? Like, and it's so beautiful to see that element of play without the weight of the world.
Yeah.
And I think, like, that's what's so great about a world like this, Like, we're all worried about dragons, man.
Yeah.
Like, killer missiles. Like, we're more worried about that than any of that kind of play. I think there's something really cool and freeing and awesome about that. I love it. I think that's why I really am a massive fan of fantasy and sci-fi, because it's such a brilliant conduit of dealing with, elements that are very, human and very sort of relatable to the world that we're in, but it puts it in a place where it is so removed that it neutralizes or sort of, it kind of levels the playing field for anyone who is taking the story in to see the perspectives and differences of that. So I think, I find it very free.
It is free. I think there is, not to get too deep or political about it, I think whatever piece of art that you make, whatever program you make, whatever film you make, it reflects the time you made it. Even if you're making a film, even if you decide to make a film today about the 18th century, it will reflect our values today. There is a reason there is less explicit nudity in our show than there was in, say, Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was pre-Me Too. So that reflects. And so one of the things that I always think about any art that I try to make, that I try to write, is I always want to reflect my world. And my world has everybody in it. I'm lucky enough to have friends from every walk of life. And so the thing that I like about House of the Dragon is that it reflects that world. That nobody sort of just goes, it's Alyn, he's a black fellow. He's just a fellow. And he's good at what he does.
He's a bastard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's it.
And so for all of its faults, and there are many in this world of House of the Dragon, one of the things that I like about it is that your values are based on your skill and on what you are to that community.
Yeah.
So I like that. And of course, there are other issues that I like. We were literally just talking about it outside. I was saying that when we did season 1, and I would come across black fans who were so pleased that I was there because it meant that when they went to the conventions, they had someone they could dress up as. These things become important because they always felt we're not part of this world. And so a show like this says, well, no, sure. Do you know what I mean? So in that sense, it's an absolute joy to be a part of this.
Well, thank you so much, both of you guys.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Right. This question's kind of for both of you. One, I think the stronger scenes of season 2 was at the end where Bethany kind of has to, your character, Baela, has to kind of get Jace together because he's struggling with sort of the decommissioning his mother has put him through in her words to protect him, but he feels he can do more. How do you think that scene between you characters worked out, and what does it say about the women of the realm in that situation?
I think we've seen them, we've watched them grow up together, so they have this relationship where they can just be really honest with each other in a way that I think sort of is separate from the formalities of the Westeros. Like, the way that they speak to each other, usually it's quite formal, but with these two, they get to just be really honest with each other. So I think she genuinely believes she can get through to him, but doesn't seem to be what like
a lot of, it's nice because a lot of men in the show don't listen to the women. And it's like Jace actually can see that he has respect.
Yeah.
And it's like he actually listens.
Yeah.
As much as he probably doesn't show it, he's like, okay, I'll take this on board. Yeah. Like, maybe this isn't a good idea, or maybe that's a good idea. Do you know what I mean? Which I feel like is really nice.
Yeah. But I think Baela comes from a long line of very strong women, and she's trying her hardest to follow in Rhaenys' footsteps and to just stand up for what she believes in. So anything she says to Jace is because she cares about him, because she wants what's best for him. And I think she sort of thinks that she can see beyond his, at times, like clouded vision, because he's so close to Rhaenyra that he can't always see what's better for the greater good. And I think Baela tries to
take him down a peg.
Yeah. She's like, come on, Bob.
Yeah, you're not thinking straight.
Yeah.
Speaking of your guys' relationship, it's very complicated. It's very thick. And for your age group, usually you would be casted in a bit lighter work. Was it kind of purposeful to have this thicker material when you were making your career choices rather than more like YA fare?
For me, 100%, because I've been acting since I was 6, and like I just got sort of stuck in a rut of playing like the same old characters all the time, which I'm really thankful for because I was in work and a lot of people I know obviously would like die to play the roles and stuff, and you know I feel like it was finally something I could do it was a mature role in my eyes, you know what I mean? So it's like, and the writing is so like top tier, and it just felt really, really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did it. It was a proper good sort of career change in a way, of being like I can finally play older characters, you know.
Yeah. I think for me, I had done quite a lot of the YA, like teen dramas, and I realised quite early on that I enjoy playing character roles much more. Like, if something is so far removed from me, so it's whether that's in how they dress or how they speak, or I like something that feels totally transformative. So with this, it was like all the boxes. It was like a totally different way of dressing, a different accent, a different, a style, a wig.
A different world, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think I just much prefer those sorts of roles where it's totally transformative. And yeah, I hope that it's been a change towards more stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it feels like a big shift. Yeah.
You had come out and said that you really pushed and got to stay with Cars.
Yeah.
Season 3. Was there any other for either of you in season 3 that you were really pushing for, that you got to do, that you always wanted to do in the first 2 seasons?
I just think, mine was that.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. I don't think there's any, like what we were just saying earlier, there's so like little you can probably change because it's so set in stone.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, it was that I didn't really have any.
Harry was brave. I think I tried to get an "and" taken out once, and they were like, "No, we're gonna need that."
It's like the little words,
Yeah.
like that if you like even forget, like an "and" or something. So
Someone will run in and be
something like very good. So it's just.
Yeah.
No, you didn't say A.
yeah.
Okay, this one's kind of both for you. You both have kind of grown up. At this point, you're kind of separated from your other siblings. What can we expect to see with Arena when she comes back where she's been, and will Jace have time to interact with his younger siblings? What can we expect with that dynamic in season 3 without spoiling any major things?
I'll tell you what Jace wants. I think in the best way possible, Jace would maybe not. He does, of course, he wants to see his younger siblings. I just feel like he is busy with work right now, and he knows that they're safe. So I think he'd rather keep them out of it.
Out of everything.
Yeah.
I would agree actually about Raina. I think as much as she misses her, I think Raina not having a dragon means that she actually can't be here right now, because we're sort of in a world where you need if that's the side of your family you belong to, you need that as a means of fighting and a means of escaping. So as much as we miss her, I think Raina being at the Vale with the boys means that she's safe. It means that she's out of harm's way, and it means that in our eyes, when we've like won the war, she can come home, and then we can all be back together. Yeah.
We've only seen half the story of House of Dragons, but we know season 3 is about to come out, and then we also know that season 4 is the last season. For you as actors and you as people, how does it feel to know about the final season? Are you feeling sad? Is it bittersweet? Are you happy that you know that there's an ending and it's not like, oh, we were all celebrating and then we don't come back?
Can we answer this?
That the previous people did.
Okay. Because we couldn't say it was the final. That was in big red writing on mine.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Ryan has publicly said that.
Okay.
Season 4.
Okay, so as Ryan thinks that it's the final season.
I honestly don't know what. I don't even want to speak anymore.
I didn't know.
No.
I said earlier to Matthew, I was saying like it feels lovely that it's in a world where things are cancelled so easily, and things that you fall in love with, you can be like waiting for a second season and then you find out it's been renewed, or it actually feels so nice to know internally, like to have had the map of when it was going to end, and to know that we get to look forward to it rather than like fearing, we haven't been picked up for this season.
Yeah.
It feels like it can be ended in the way the creatives really intended it to be.
Yeah, I think that I'm just grateful to be in this show anyway, and I feel like even if it lasted one season, I still would have been like, okay, like the fact that I'm like so happy to even be a part of a world like this,
Yeah.
just place. Like I said, it could have lasted 2 weeks, and I would have been grateful that I even got to do it in the first place anyway. But all good things must come to an end, and yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
HBO's third season of House of the Dragon premieres Sunday, June 21st at 9 p.m. Eastern. If you're hearing this, thank you for listening to the whole bonus episode of It's the Stream of Life podcast with Brandon and Lorin. And remember, keep on streaming.